Hello, everyone. I'm Rebecca Rosenberg, and I am the author of Champagne Widows and Madame Pommery about the women who created champagne. And we're here today with Vicky Farrow, who is the owner of Amista Vineyards, and this is her website, Sparkling Discoveries. So, Vicky, thank you for letting me interview you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
So, Amista Vineyards is known for its sparkling wines. What is the story behind your focus on the bubbles, and what makes your approach unique?
Okay, well, our story behind the bubbles is it was started with a series of happy accidents back in 2008. Marry that with my love of bubbles, and it just seemed to progress from there. So we now have seven different sparkling wines, and
Wow.
we've added over the years. Yeah. So that's how we got into it, and I'm staying there. But what sets us apart, there's several things, Rebecca. I think
Okay.
one of them is that all of our wines, and including all of our sparkling wines, are made from our own estate grapes. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but that gives us a real advantage. And the second thing is very exciting is in 2024, our whole vineyard was certified organic. So I
That
know
is hard, I know,
it's
very hard.
hard. It's a lot of work. But it was really a proud moment. And now all wines starting in 2024, we can say are made with certified organic grapes. So
Almost impossible.
yeah,
So,
almost
yeah,
impossible is right.
yeah, so tell us about that process. Just how do you get to be a certified organic grape grower?
Well, that's actually a question probably better aimed at our winemaker, but I can tell you in general, she had to make sure that we were farming the vineyard according to the standards of the Organic Grape Foundation for 3 years before we could even apply, right? And then they do all kinds of site visits and you submit all kinds of information to show how you've been managing the fruit. Mostly, farming in a certain way, but primarily not using synthetic pesticides and that kind of thing. And so we've been farming organically for over 3 years, but it took that long to get the certification.
I commend you. That is amazing. And I have heard that that gives people less headaches, and you know that you're drinking something healthy. It's really a wonderful thing that you did.
Yeah, it truly is. We're very, very happy about that. I think another thing that sets us apart is that we use unusual grapes to make our sparkling wines. As you know, in Champagne, there's I think six varieties that are approved, but most of the wines are made from Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and to a lesser extent, Pinot Meunier. And that's true of many sparkling wines in the US as well. We make many of our wines are made from Rhone varietals because what we grow on our estate. So we have a sparkling Grenache, a sparkling Mourvedre that we call Mataro, a sparkling Syrah, and then we have blends of some of those very varieties. So I don't think you'll find any sparkling Rhone varietals anywhere else in Sonoma County. Maybe there's one, but I haven't come across them yet.
Tell
And
our
then
audience and me, what are Rhone varietals?
yeah, okay. That's a great question. They originated in France in the Rhone region along that river there. And there's some argument about where Grenache first started, whether it was in Spain or France. But the French claim that the Syrah, the Grenache, the Mourvedre, and then there's some other Rhone varieties, all came from that Rhone area of France.
And do you do that because of where you're located in the Dry Creek Valley? Is that right? Dry Creek?
We're in the Dry Creek Valley, yes. Well, Rebecca, if you know me long enough, you will know that many of the things we did were kind of not thought out all the way through, and they were just like, this seems like a fun thing to do. Let's plant Syrah. So we planted our first Rhone varietal, and then we kind of got more interested in Rhones and decided to put some more in. So we put in Grenache and Mourvedre, and we've slowly added to that and taken out most of the Chardonnay. We still make Chardonnay and we make a Blanc de Blanc. But yeah, it was a happy accident, but you are also right. They do grow beautifully in Dry Creek Valley.
So that is one question I wanted to ask you is what is special about being in Dry Creek Valley for you, for your wine? Is
Again,
the yeah.
I think that's a better question for our winemaker because she knows better about like the weather and the water and everything that it takes to make the wines. I do know that it's relatively warm here, much hotter than you would find, say, in Russian River. And so our grapes tend to ripen earlier. And it's in fact, one of the things that we have to be very careful about is when we pick the for sparkling wines, because as you probably know, you pick at a less sugar level when you're picking for sparkling. And as many people might not know, I certainly didn't, is that the window for when you pick is much smaller. So our winemaker is out there in the vineyard every few days during harvest season, monitoring the grapes to find out, do they have the right sugar level? And most importantly, do they taste right? And then once they do, you got to pick them.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's one of the things like thinking about the whole process of grape to glass. Because we have estate grown grapes, she can monitor the grapes growing from the time we prune them, which is around now, to the time we harvest them. And although, you can't control Mother Nature, you can control how you respond to what Mother Nature throws at you. And that's what she does. So that's something that's very important in our approach. The
I
other
think we're going to have to walk those vineyards when she's in that process. That would be a lot of fun.
Let's do it.
Okay.
You will love it. She can tell you all about the decisions that she makes. But let's talk a little bit more about how we get from grape to glass. Obviously, it starts in the vineyard, but we make our sparkling wines like most other people in Sonoma County. Not everybody, but most people use the traditional method, which is the same as what's used in making champagne in France. And that's where the wine goes through its regular fermentation, just like any wine, in a tank or a barrel. And then it goes through a secondary fermentation. And the traditional method means that that secondary fermentation happens in the very bottle that sits on your table when you're drinking it later, which always amazes me. It didn't happen in a big barrel or a big tank. It happened in that bottle. And that's what gives the traditionally made sparkling wines those tiny little bubbles. A little bit different than Prosecco, which is fermented in a large tank. So
I think it makes a huge difference.
it
And
does.
then how long do you typically age your wines?
Yeah, now that is also a great question, which sets us apart. In France, in order to have a vintage dated champagne, you have to age it on the lees, which is the dead yeast cells, for 3 years or more. Often they're aged, as you well know, much longer than that. We do not age our wines that long. We age them from 18 to 24 months. And that's because the style we are going for is a very light, bright, lively, refreshing style. And I've had people, I like both kinds, by the way. I'm sure I hope you do too, but I love drinking champagnes. But I've had people say, I don't like champagne, but I like your sparkling wine. And I think it's because it has that really light, bright, refreshing flavor. And the other thing it means is that, and Ashley, our winemaker, is really going for this, is the fruit shines through. So in a Blanc de Blanc, you taste the maybe citrus, maybe stone fruits of the fruit. In the red Rhones, you taste the berries, and not just that nutty, toasty, brioche taste that you get in a more classic champagne.
I love that answer. And I agree. Your wines are very luscious and fruit forward and just delicious to drink now.
Yeah.
So, can you tell me a memorable moment, perhaps that you've had crafting sparkling wines? By
Yeah.
the way, how long have you been making wines? I think you said
We started in 2008. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So, a while, a
Yeah, we've been
while.
making a while and adding a few, wines over the
So I'm
years.
sure you've had many, many memorable moments, but share one with us.
Okay, well, I will just share one because you're right, there are many. Um, we actually the first wine we ever made that sparkled was a sparkling Syrah. It is in the lineup of our wines, it's the darkest, it's cranberry colored, typically. Okay. And oh, by the way, just as an aside, I want to just mention another thing that makes us unique. We bottle all of our sparkling wines in clear glass. And we can do that because they never sit on a retail shelf. You can only buy them at the winery through the wine club on the website. So we have the advantage of doing that. And I like it because I like to line them up. They look like glittering gemstones in all their different colors.
They're
But the
beautiful.
sparkling Syrah has always been cranberry colored. 2 years ago, we sat down to do a dosage trial, which is where you decide how much added sugar you want to put in the wine. And I'll come back to that in a minute. And we loved the flavors. We decided on what dosage we wanted, but the color wasn't there. It was just very pale. And we said, our customers aren't going to want to buy this because it's not anything like what they're used to. They love that brilliant cranberry bottle sitting on their holiday table, for example. And so Ashley, our winemaker, went back and said, okay, I will come back. We'll do another dosage trial. We'll add 1 or 2% of still Syrah to the sparkling Syrah to bring up the color. And we did that. We all tasted it and we're all sitting there going, just doesn't taste right.
Oh no.
Just 1%, Rebecca, added a different flavor profile. And so I learned two things. One, you cannot control the color of a sparkling wine very well. In France, the way they make rosés is they take white and red and blend them. Here, the way we do it is just how long you leave it on the skins. And so Ashley had the perfect color when she took it off the skins. But during the disgorging process where you get rid of all the dead yeast cells, I guess all the color was in the dead yeast and it went flying and the color all dropped out. So you can't control it. And the second thing I learned, which was I think an important lesson, is that we're going to go for taste over color. So if we had to choose, we're going to go for what tastes really good.
I love that answer because you were right that it has to taste wonderful. So
It does.
that was a great idea. So if I come visit you at Amista, what should I expect as the experience?
Yeah. So if you come visit us at Amista, by the way, you can make reservations or you can show up and we will always accept walk-ins if we can accommodate you.
Oh,
We have a lot of room. We have where most people sit is on our solar covered patio. So we are all solar powered here. And what you're going to find is that you're going to be surrounded by the vineyards where the grapes are grown that are ultimately making their way into your glass. And then in the background, you're going to see the tree-studded hills of Dry Creek. You're sort of enveloped by the Dry Creek Valley and these vineyards all around you. And the second thing you're going to find, I don't know if you know this, Rebecca, but Amista means making friends in Spanish, roughly translated. You are going to find a very friendly, engaging, fun place to taste. And I think the combination of being in the vineyards and then working with the hosts who are just engaging and fun to be around. I've had so many people say to me who visit, this is my happy place. So I think you're going to find your happy place. And you're going to find wines that are quite dry. So that might be another difference. We are very light on the dosage, on the sugar that we add. And part of that is, we live here in California, so the grapes get ripe. In France, it's another story, but they get nice and ripe here. And so we either do zero dosage or what's called extra brut, which means that it has less than 6 grams per liter of sugar. And that means they go beautifully with food.
I think everyone should come visit you. I love it there. It's so beautiful. You're right in the middle of the vineyards, as you say. And everyone was super friendly. This was before I even met you, and
Oh,
it was
really? Oh, well, that's good to
lovely.
hear.
Yeah, it was lovely. So that is wonderful. I think the most exciting thing is that you are making method champenois from entirely different grapes than people are used to. And I would urge everyone to try Amista Vineyards. So thank you for today.
Thank
And
you,
we'll
Rebecca.
continue our beautiful sparkling discoveries.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.